Yeah, mate. Net positive. Don't get me wrong, and that makes it sound bad, but there were some real high moments, some low moments, a lot of in-between moments, just grinding away. Yeah, very different from my first row. So where I went from Portugal to Miami, first person to ever do that row, solo unsupported. This time going west to east, New York to the Scilly Isles with three of my boys, Adam, Brucey and Natty. So yeah, it was good, mate. Some highs, some lows, and I'm sure we're going to talk all about it. So a lot less space. I mean, my boat was exactly the same size as my boat. I did my solo crossing in different boats. So 7 meters, and you are literally living on top of each other. You eat, sleep, cook, defecate, all on that tiny boat. So tempers can get short for sure. However, one of the good things is you do get a bit of banter. Nice to crack a few jokes with the lads. When you're feeling down, they'll pick you up, and then when they're feeling down, you pick them up. So yeah, it did have its challenges, I can't lie, but it was also there was a lot more joke cracking, a lot more laughter this time. That first 24 hours, I'll be honest, I had some pretty dark thoughts when I was setting off as I was watching New York disappear. I mean, it's fantastic rowing past the Statue of Liberty. Once you've rowed sort of a couple of miles, that soon starts to fade away, and then you'll realise, you're hit with a massive realisation that you're about to spend potentially 2 months at sea. And having done it once before, I knew I could do it, so I never thought, fuck, can I do this? Those are the feelings I had on my first row, but this time I was just like that. Jesus, like, this is going to be tough. I know exactly what's coming up. 12 hours a day grinding away, 3 hours on, 3 hours off. We were going to be wet, covered in salt sores. My salt sores were a bit worse. They're worse this time. And then, dealing with the team, managing all of that, wanting to keep the team safe, because I sort of assumed the role of skipper, so I felt almost the pressure, not just to keep myself safe, but to keep them safe. And yeah, that first 24 hours, I had a lot of thoughts where I was like, God, why are you doing this again? You've done it once before, you've got nothing to prove, you've raised your money for charity. So yeah, but luckily those thoughts only lasted for like 24 hours, and then you're into it then. And then it's just, to business, that pre-anxiety that you might have before a match. Once the referee blows his whistle and you're into it, it's game time, let's go. So yeah, lucky those thoughts only lasted for 24 hours. So toughest moment, people always talk about the highs and the lows, and what was the toughest moment, what was the best moment. But the truth be told, when you're rowing the Atlantic, it is just a slog. Every day's the same, very uneventful when you're just grinding away. A tough day was probably the day we capsized. I mean, don't get me wrong, when we capsized, big monster wave, bang, hits us. Perfect, sends the boat into a barrel roll. Me and Adam are thrown off deck. Luckily we were tethered on. I sort of questioned whether it was the toughest day, because the capsize actually was sort of the perfect combination of terrifying yet exciting. I actually quite enjoyed it in a weird sadistic way. So anyway, we're now off the boat, we're under the boat. The tether pulls me back to the port side, I think, to the port side of the boat. I spot Adam, he's alive, that's good. Jump back on, the boat's self-righted. Get Adam back on board, and then check that Brucey and that were all right. So that was a tough moment. What made it tough is that actually a lot of our equipment started to break after that. So our deck repeater broke, our AIS, which alerts you to other ships. So it's an early warning system that broke, and then we broke a compass light as well, I think. So yeah, it was those were two challenging days. Day 26, the day we capsized. So the best moment, I mean, obviously finishing, Liam, like, let's have that right. That was by far the best day. But the best day to crossing was probably when we broke the 24-hour record. So we broke the record for the most nautical miles rowed in 24 hours. And I cannot explain, being in that Gulf Stream is like nothing I've ever seen in an ocean rowing boat before. Bear in mind, I did 111 days my first crossing. When we were in that Gulf Stream, when we weren't even rowing, we were doing 4 knots. When we were rowing, we were doing about 6.5 knots. And then I remember one point me and Nutty were like, right, should we put a bit of a squeeze on? And we ended up doing like 8 knots, which is obscene in an ocean rowing boat, if you don't know. And we actually broke the 24-hour record twice. So we broke it on the first day, we did 130 nautical miles, and then we broke it again the next day and did 144 nautical miles. And the old record was 116. So we absolutely smoked it. So that was my favourite moment. And then second moment was seeing the fin whales. Second largest animal on the planet. Yeah, I mean, they were at 5-10 meters from the boat. I mean, don't get me wrong, I was a little bit nervous that one of them was going to breach and smash the boat, Moby Dick style. However, that didn't happen. Completely irrational fear, so I just got to enjoy the moment, which was epic. As good as it was breaking the 24-hour record for most nautical miles road, the record we really wanted to break was the crossing record, so the fastest time to go from New York to the UK. And when we realised that was out of reach, I was pretty gutted. And I think you've got to reflect as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, let me get from the get-go, the weather was against us. And even if we'd have been super dialed in as a team and really on it and locked in, do I think we could have broken the record? No, probably not with the weather conditions that were against us. But do I think we could have been a little bit slicker, practiced a little bit harder, trained maybe better as a team? I think, yeah, because, if you can't look back and reflect and learn lessons and take accountability, you're never going to progress. You're never going to, if you do something in the future, another expedition, you'll probably make the same mistakes. What you also have to remember is that wasn't our only objective. I mean, yeah, we wanted to break the crossing record, but we also wanted to remain friends by the end of it, get across safely, raise 50 grand for charity, and break the 24-hour record. And we did all 4 of those. So yes, we didn't break the crossing record. And was I disappointed? Yes. But am I sat here now in like the depths of despair? It was brilliant at times. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was tough. When you're thrown from the boat by a monster wave, it's certainly not advantageous. We talk about food, and we had these large nut butters. Now these are like survival rations. In a 300 gram nut butter, they have 1,600 calories, so they're huge. But the problem is as time went on, they would separate, so you'd be left with butter and oil, so you'd have to knead them, especially if they got cold. You'd have to knead them together, warm them back up like this. I remember once, got my nut butter out cold, so I'm kneading it. And all of a sudden, right, the fucking top of the pouch just explodes and I'm fucking now covered in almond butter. A couple of days later, I'll be on deck and I'll be seeing like random patches of brown nut butter. And the boys be like, someone missed the toilet bucket. I said, no, that's just me and my explosive nut butter that went everywhere. Middle of the crossing, I think it was, day 26 when it rained all day, torrential rain, and you get into that sort of negative headspace and you think so irrationally, you're thinking, if it goes on like this, it's going to be horrific, it's going to be horrible. I never wanted to quit. Well, you can't quit. When you're out there, it's either carry on rowing, make it to the end, or perish at sea, and I wasn't going to fucking die at sea. The last 24 hours, complete contrast, the first 24 hours, you've done the hard work and now it's just about seeing it through to the finish. Pure joy, ready for that steak and chips that was waiting for me. Overwhelming sense of pride. We raised £106,000 for charity. Our original target was £50,000, so we absolutely smashed it. Glad to be closing in on the finish, and just gratitude and achievement that we set out to do something and we'd achieved that objective. How did it feel to finish? If I could bottle that emotion up, it would be bigger than cigarettes, it would be bigger than alcohol. Just to see everyone on the quayside in Hamble was such a rush, like such an adrenaline rush, better than any drug that I haven't taken. Mum, if you're watching, it was phenomenal. And seeing everyone, your friends and family, and that first meal, like your taste buds become so familiarized to the rations you have on the boat. So anything fresh, anything out of the ordinary is phenomenal. So that was incredible in the silly hours. And then doing the stage land and seeing all my friends and family was phenomenal too. And I just felt overwhelming sense of pride. I remember my first crossing, the overriding emotion was relief that I'd got the world record, first person to row from mainland Europe to mainland Europe, North America solo, unsupported. But this time it was pride. We raised £106,000 for a head up charity, which is doing great things for the military community. So yeah, it was pride, and just getting to share that moment with all my friends and family was phenomenal. So yeah, I've obviously touched on the main factor that kept us going, but then equally, we're raising money for a great cause. This time it's for the mental health of serving members of the armed forces and veterans. I think about what some of those lads and lasses had to deal with. Think back to my first row, think about my granddad and what he had to battle, a brain tumour. And when you put it into perspective, I think people are so fixated on their own lives and their own problems that they don't look outwards, look at other things that happen around the world and think, if you've got a roof over your head and food in your belly, you're not doing too bad. So it's easy to keep going when you compare yourself to other people that have had it a lot harder than you, and they've managed to keep going. We actually spoke about this a lot on the boat, and a quote I love is, no one's coming to save you. So if you don't like the direction your life is heading, or if you look at people doing my row, or, you know, people doing amazing things, which I wish I could do that, you are the only person that is going to make that happen. You're the only person that's going to improve your life, not your mum, not your dad, not your friends, family, no mythical creature that's going to drop out of the sky. Only you can take control of your life and move it in the direction you want to do. And don't be scared by hardship, adversity, pain, because remember, if it was easy, everyone would fucking do it.